Hi guys! Today I'm going to walk through my process for making a cute little mermaid tail that makes an adorable cake topper, or in this case I'm going to put it in front of the cake on the board. So you just start with the big chunk of modeling chocolate and roll it into a fat teardrop. On this day my studio was freezing, and so the chocolate normally doesn't act this temperamental and firm. It's usually much softer than this. But on this day I just had to really work at it to soften it up and then smooth it. So I'm just kind of roughing it into the shape of the fin and getting into that rough shape so that then I can smooth it down and then put the details in. As you start to work on the base, you'll want to create kind of a bit of a neck and then let that flare out so that the bottom is more broad for stability because the fin will be standing on that. And just smooth, smooth, smooth. So I'm happy with that overall shape, and I'm going to put my little lines in with my Dresden tool. So I just draw the lines in. You can leave them at this stage just with lines. I like to exaggerate them more and make the ridges quite pronounced and cartoony to make the fin look sort of more exaggerated, but that's not necessary. That's me counting to make sure that I have the same number of lines on each side because I'm a dork and my eyes aren't good enough. I have to use my fingers to count. So I just trimmed the base flat with my knife so it'll stand up. And now I want to put the scales in, which just takes a second. Just take a little circle cutter and sort of starting at the top at an angle, do a row, go down and kind of stagger them down to the bottom. So now for color, I find for modeling chocolate in this kind of application where it can be it doesn't have to be like a perfect solid color, where it can sort of look organic. Luster dusts are the way to go. They really like the oil in the modeling chocolate, so you can get the color nice and intense however you want. Just tap your brush. I'm alternating the colors here, fuchsia and blue, but obviously do whatever strikes your fancy. And the final touch is a little bit of gold for some glam. So for the scales, you basically just need a million circles. I like to do 6 different colors, 3 of one and 3 of another. So this is like a range from light to dark of purples, mauves, and a range light to dark of turquoise. And you will use more of the lighter ones. I use the most of the lightest turquoise because the darker ones stand out so much. You kind of just sprinkle them in and the lighter colors get used more. So I like to start with about 30 of each, and just basically because you don't really want them to dry out, especially as you get to the top of the cake and you need to bend them. So I just do about 30 of each, more of the turquoise, lightest one, and get going, and then I stop as needed to cut out more. So for the first row, we start from the bottom. You just cut a few of the circles of each color in half, and we'll be laying them the flat side down along the bottom of the cake. Once we finish the first row, you just start laying the full circles the next row up, and then just go across, mixing the colors however you think looks nice, and just go row by row. Once you get to the top edge, you'll be glad that you don't have dry circles because you want to bend them over like that, and the fondant needs to be flexible. So use fresh circles and just keep going towards the center. Once all the scales are placed, I like to spray mine with like iridescent, pearlescent airbrush color. And I think that Wilton has an aerosol can too with pearlescent spray. That's really easy to use, and you can just use that and it just adds that little glimmer. It's so pretty. For this design, for the cake board, I love using edible sand that I make from vanilla cake crumbs, like extra cake. And I'll do a post on that soon. But here I am just brushing piping gel onto the board because it's really thick and sticky, and I put a pretty thick layer to hold the crumbs. And obviously this bit is messy, so I put my turntable on top of a tray to kind of catch as much as I can and just kind of scoop the crumbs onto the board and stick them in there. For this one, I'm putting the fin on the cake board in front of the cake, kind of off to the right. And what I'm going to use to stick it is melted white chocolate and just hold it till it's set.